Well, hello.
Sure. Hello there, lady. How are you? How's
I'm
things
fine.
going?
It's
How's the
busy.
sound on your side?
It's not. You said how's the what?
How's my sound on your side?
Oh, you're fine.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So what's been going on?
Oh, working like crazy. I tell you, we work hard at home. I was like, let me schedule another. I know you probably was like, is she ever going to schedule another
I,
meeting?
I did say that. I said, but I know how busy we have been because you're right. It seems like we run faster in this virtual world because we're going from one thing to the next, and the transition times are shorter.
Yeah, I'm going to do better with scheduling. We're on mandatory deployment, so
Right.
the lot of people being deployed on the teams, and so it's short. It's just
A
so
lot
much
happening.
on it.
And so you guys are responding to the virus.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, so initially it was voluntarily, but now it's mandatory. So
Yeah.
I'm on this too.
They said they didn't have enough people, actually. They were looking for more people, and people from other parts of USDA are actually getting the opportunity to participate in this emergency response. So, you know,
Yeah, I mean, I would go definitely if I have to, but I'm gonna let all them volunteer first,
he said, I'm gonna let y'all go ahead through first. Y'all go ahead
right?
through.
I have a number on that list, so been doing a lot of reports and stuff, just for animal care to categorize people based on their STD date. So just making sure that now everybody dates are incorrect. I've been in the federal government this day because they're trying to get their dates. It's seniority, so
Oh yeah, they got to get it set
in
up
the
because you
federal
got a
government.
lot of people retiring. They got a lot of stuff that they got to set up, and then whoever gets response to respond to the emergency based on seniority. Hey, you got to go now. You got to when it's mandatory, right? Because they have
Yeah.
to make it. There have to be some kind of way to make it justifiable to say you have to go versus this other person.
Hmm.
You know. So yeah. So what
Absolutely.
would make today a good, coaching day for you? What is it that you'd like to get out of this session today?
I don't know. I think I'm trying to. I make sure everyone on my team takes training. Get their training, but I put all of my stuff on the back burner, and it's just like really. My director has like made little hints of things that she always gives, like, I think you should take this training and things like that. And now she wants me to take like a presentation training, which
Mm,
is initially I was like, I've been doing presentations for over 25 years. We always can improve, but I didn't feel like it was something that was necessary
mhm.
um, of my time. But I did find one through management concepts that it's a 3-day training through management concepts, and the cost of it is not even an issue. I think it's like $1,200, but we have that funding in animal care for training. We push training.
Mhm.
Um, so it's just me filling out the form, the SF 182 to do it. I'm signing a lot of forms, making sure my team does training, but it's like setting time aside to do it for myself, for my career, and then just for me, for development for myself. So
Do you
it's
know exactly why she chose that versus other things that you could be doing based on the job that you currently have?
it well, I've done several presentations since I've started, which has been like 2 years. And within my first year, I actually did for like the APHIS call with Kevin Shea. I did a
Mhm.
full presentation with that. I did like I'm used to doing like a role play or kind of going over it with someone. And I did it with her, and she was like, it's great. I don't think you need anything. So I did a presentation and went very well.
Mhm.
Um, and then after that, I've done little, smaller ones like maybe webinars and things like that. But the training division or units, kind of orchestrate your slides. You send them all your slides. So I've done those. So I think when she started saying it is we have a supervisor, animal care supervisor call bi-weekly.
Mhm.
It's either bi-weekly or once a month, but where each supervisor has to speak of or give an updates of, what they have going on. And so I cover all of the hiring for animal care. So I give updates on that. And then I
Mhm.
which is consistent. But then if there's any additional things like performance plans or anything that's like coming up due, I do reminders and stuff. So I really only speak probably from 5 to 10 minutes unless someone has a question. Um, and she made a comment. She said, "Do you write down your points?" And I said, "That's the only way I can stay on track, especially if it's a lot that I have to kind of cover." And so she said, "No, you cover the points, but I think you're broad, or maybe you leave." She was like, "I clearly understand what you're saying, but maybe some people don't." And I said, "Well, when I ask, are there questions or anyone needs clarification,
Mm,
typically no one says anything, but if they do have a question, I'll, answer their question." So I don't know if it's just like a something she wants me to take, or, so, I mean, I'm used to, I come from the banking industry, financial industry. We stand up in front of groups of people and talk all the time. So
mhm,
um, she said, "Well, you don't have to read the slides," or, she made a comment like that before, like read
mm,
verbatim from the slides. And I said, "Well, I don't normally read a verbatim from the slides, but some slides, it may be a point that I would need to make, and
mhm.
it's the actual words that's on the slide." And that could be in a different kind of setting where it's just probably myself. She may just be there observing, and then it may be some new supervisors who come on board. And I use the same slides each time unless some kind of regulation changes. So I
Okay.
thought I was going to sign up for that training. It's not a
So
problem.
I'm curious. You mentioned something, and before we get started, let's just kind of take a moment to kind of center into this space that we're in right now. If you're okay with that, and
Hmm.
that's something that I had mentioned to you in our original agreement, that I like to like leave whatever was happening prior to this moment there, and then we move forward into your actual coaching session, right? So just let's do 3 breaths and just kind of center in that, if that's okay with you. Is that all
Hmm.
right?
That's
All right,
fine.
so let's go ahead and we're going to take a nice deep breath in, kind of notice where we are, etc. So let's go together on that. So there's a nice deep breath in and one nice out, nice and easy. Another one, deep breath in and a nice one out. And then one more deep breath in, hold it, and then let it out nice and slow. Nice and easy. Okay, so there's a few things that you're saying that I want to kind of make sure that I'm clear on. You said today, there's nothing major right now that's standing out for you at this moment. So this session would just be more of a clarification of where you're going. Is that what I
Yeah,
heard?
yeah,
Okay,
just trying to prioritize my own personal development
your personal
and
development, right?
ensuring that my team continues their momentum as well.
All right. And so, in your intro and talking to you, I asked you a question about this training that your supervisor is asking you to participate in. And I was like, okay, so I wonder why that would be something that she would say. And
Mhm.
what I heard was possibly reading from the slides, um, not going deep enough with the details of the information,
Mhm.
and possibly uh, just presentation presence in giving the presentation. Would those 3 things sound pretty close to what?
That's the way I
Am I
would get.
kind of accurate from what you're
Yeah.
saying from her? All
Mm-hmm.
right, cool. So I was curious to know, how does that make you feel when you know that I've been doing this for a long time? I did this in the financial industry. There are times where I have to verbatim say certain things, but I do my best not to. What feelings coming up for you on that?
Initially, I was taken back from it, and we talked. We, I was like, okay, it's probably other training that I have on my list to do, dealing with like HR regulations and policies that are new
Yeah.
to me that change. And so they're on the list too. But she was like, well, I really want you to find a presentation class. So she didn't stress it anymore, but over from the past, just different comments that she's made. Either you did really great, that was a great presentation, or you can't read from the slides. And then sometimes she'll say things like, I know you've been managing for a long time. And I said, I'm not going to always, we have different skill sets of different things how we do things. I definitely can always learn and have room for growth.
Mhm.
I always laugh when people send long emails because they go, oh, they give so much information where I'm more straight to the point. So their
Mhm.
whole page would be my half page where I just
Right.
dive right into what's specific, what I'm, so I give background and stuff like that. But she's more of a long-winded kind of person. So she said, I know you're not going to do things exactly the way I do them. And I'm not. I'm never going to do it exactly the way that you may have, you know,
Mhm.
presented it. But
Okay.
as long as we both reach the finish line of the same goal, I may have taken the left and you took the right, but we have a
We're
common,
lined up in the same place.
it lines up whichever approach, and so she agreed to that. She said, you're absolutely correct. Um, So I don't know. I told her I'll definitely look for a class, and I found one. And then when I told her I found one, she was like, "Oh, great!" And then she was like, "Can I share it with some of my other leadership that's on my leadership team?"
Mhm.
And she said just one other manager. So I shared it with her, and she was like, "Oh, thanks for sharing." So it wasn't. I haven't taken the class yet. I haven't even
Right.
signed up yet,
Right.
but it's like on my list to do. And she will follow up and say, hey, I haven't signed off on your training. Are you scheduled to take it? She'll ask me something like that. Just like she asked me, when is your next meeting with your mentor? And I said, I just scheduled it. I said, because I've been so busy. She was like, I know, but that's for you. So, you need to make sure you make time to do it. So,
Well, I'm curious about two things that you said, and I kind of want to go there a little bit, and maybe we can dig a little deeper on this, because when I asked you the question about it, you said you were taken aback.
mhm.
Tell me more about, like, if you was it's describing that in a color or describing that in a feeling. What was that feeling or color that like, would describe that as?
I wasn't offended. I don't think offended is the word. Maybe offended is the word, or
Okay.
like lack of skill. Like you need some fine tuning because you don't do it the way I do it.
Mm. And I heard that twice. I don't know if you know you said that, but you did say do it the way I do it, right? So
Mm.
tell me more about what emotion comes up for you when someone's trying to get you to do it the way they do it, or how you interpret that as.
Um, I may never do. I can definitely take some pointers from you, but I'm still going to put my own spin to it as long as it's still in a positive and it's delivered. It's delivered in a positive way, and it's I always, try to figure out who my audience is. I look at a lot of different things. Who's my audience? Who am I talking to? And then that kind of helps me with delivery. I do a lot of
Mhm.
different things, and those aren't things that she point out that she does. She just said that I just really write down my points. Well,
Right.
I write down my points too.
Mhm.
And so she said, "Oh, you do?" And I said, "Yes." And so she said, "Oh, okay." She thinks I talk too fast. That was, you talk so fast. And I said, well, when you're passionate about something, maybe it comes across as being too fast. But, I always ask my audience, do you have any questions? And if they don't have questions right then, definitely I'm open to any questions, they may not want to ask right there, but typically they will if it's something pending and they just need clarification on it. So she said, you just talk so fast. And I said, oh, okay, well, then if I ask someone else, because I have my own team, so
Mhm.
communication is not an issue, and deliver, that part is not an issue because I'm sure I would have heard it by now, or she would have heard it from my team.
Okay.
Definitely. me. But even talking too fast, I I was like, I talk too fast. I was like, okay.
I just saw your face change 3 times
Right. I'm
saying
like,
that.
I'll make a lot
Your
of
face
facial
goes like,
I make a lot of facial expressions. I've
That's
been
okay
doing that.
because that's your body telling you stuff. That's your body communicating to me, and as a coach, that's one of the things that we pay attention to. We pay attention to body, we pay attention to speed, language, that kind of stuff, emotions that come up. And that's why I asked you about the color or emotion because, you said at first something, then you said offended. Nah, not offended. Yeah, it was offense. And that's the truth, right? And so that makes me curious to know, like, when you know something about yourself
Mhm.
and you're hearing it from someone who's in a critical position with that information. Are you, how are you handling, what way do you handle how that feels to you? Like, what does it feel like when you know you're good at something, but you're still feeling that critical assessment?
I think over the years, I've learned I'm not very reactive anymore like I used to be when I first started managing teams or
Mhm.
being in positions where leadership positions. I used to take offense like right away and become very defensive. I
Okay.
don't become defensive anymore, which is something that I've learned over the years. I just don't have to, but I take, I definitely listen to any feedback I get and I try to critique it, but I don't give an immediate response of, like you come out there
What you
and turn
say?
it down.
What you
Right.
talking about, Willis?
I don't do that anymore. So, I try to, take constructive criticism in any manner. And it's always believed that you can always become better. You can always do improve skills. Even though I've been doing it for so many years, I can always fine tune them. So I became open to like, come on, Benita, let's find a class. Because initially I wasn't even going to look for the class. I'm like, okay, she'll bring it up again. Or let me just find one on Ag Learn. But no, I really dived into it and said, this could be help me fine tune the presentations that I already do.
Okay.
And now it's just finding the time to really schedule it and do it.
Which was going to bring me to my other question because you said, you haven't scheduled it yet. She came to you and, she's asked you about other things that she's looking for you to schedule. What what is it that you feel or you think that might get in the way of just going ahead and putting that on your schedule?
I think the only way that I can probably do it is like, I can block time out for myself on my calendar where I'm in red, where I'm doing something for me. If it's when I work on projects or reports and things like that, I said, asked her, would she mind if I, every other Friday or every Friday for 2 hours? And she said, no, definitely do that. Because, if I'm in green, the world of animal care call all day, all day.
Hmm.
And being on the leadership team, you get even double or triple outside of your own team. So, people don't really look at your schedules and stuff like that. Like this gentleman, he doesn't even report to me. He's asking me a question. Can he meet with me right now? And I'm like, I have a meeting. But he doesn't look at my schedule. He's just seeing if I'm in red or green or whatever.
Right.
So it's like that's one way I think that I can, take time out. If it's once a week where this hour I'm doing everything that's on my to-do list for me, because I make a to-do list every single day and it's full of everything all out of priority, but it's important for me to scratch stuff off or refresh my list. And that's just habit. I'm a paper person, so it's just habit. Visually see it. It helps, it reminds me. So I have stickies everywhere to keep me focused of things that's priority or things that I need to do. So that's one way I think that I can do it. I can definitely do it that way.
No problem. I was just curious to know that because, it seemed like that was another sticking point for her, for you to,
Mhm.
hey, get that scheduled and whatnot. And I was really interested in knowing how you feel about that because, again, someone saying to do something is like one thing, but now coming back to you and say, have you done it? That's
Mhm.
even something different. So, one of the things about this time that we have together, to block off time so that you don't have as much coming at you all the time.
Really nothing. I'm not blocking time out for myself at all. Like this is time for me. I put it on my calendar and everyone can, whoever looks at my calendar, usually they're just trying to see if I'm in red or whatever color. I have a lot of meetings all day, every day, constantly. I mean, so I have heavier days. Like, when we talk, we say like Fridays are good days because that's like a slower day. But
Mhm.
Monday through Wednesday or all the way through Thursday, I mean, I'm on committees and different things like that. So if I'm not in a meeting with leadership, I'm in a meeting with someone within animal care, directors and things like that. I just, my schedule just fills up and I accept everyone else's invitations. And then when I look at it, it's so busy, I don't have a slot to put myself anywhere. So it's just like, I need to do that up front because then it'll, when they use the scheduling assistant, they'll see that, oh, she's busy doing those times. But I don't do that. So it just is wide open and they fill it up every week.
Well, I'm really curious about that. Why, why do you leave it open if the opening would allow you more time to really, have some transition time for yourself?
Not putting myself as a priority. I
Mm,
put everything else as a priority. But like my development is important to me. My career is important, but my employees' career and their development, onboarding, and you know, is more important. So I make sure that they get everything that they need, and then I'm left with a Friday or something like that, and by then I'm exhausted from the week. So it's just not making a priority.
so I'm really curious to know, where did that come from? And you don't have to answer right away. Let's think about it for a second. Like, what I heard you say is, I'm not putting myself as a priority. Tell me more about that statement.
That's probably even on a personal level. In my personal life, I put everyone else first. I'm last. So things that I know I need to take care of, I'll get to them because I never miss deadlines. But to me, not I need I don't look at not put me as a priority as a deadline. Like I don't, if it's something like I needed to go change registration, I held on it for months and I could have just taken a break, took an hour, 2 hours from work because we have this type of schedule and go handle my own business. But no, I stay and I help family or work through the day. And I will work late. I'll work to 6 and 6:30 and work over the normal hours that's required every week because I don't miss deadlines. So if it's projects and things like that, I really stick to that. But anything about for me personally, it's not. I don't look at it as a. I don't treat it as a priority, even though I know that it's important.
Okay. Why is that?
I just never. I don't know. Just I guess being a young mom and I always put everything first. That it's just I can't call it a habit. It's just like the way I operate. Not saying it's correct or not, but it's just like the norm. And then I always end up with the short end of the stick. And then either I'm exhausted, tired, or I'll just push it to another day, or I'll do it another week or something like that. But, it's like my father's twin sister, my father's deceased now, but my aunt always says, you're like the person that's standing in the middle and you got all of these, poles that come out of you because you're connected to so many people, rely on you for everything. And you don't have any that's pushing back into you. You just pushing out.
Mhm.
And that's how it is at my personal life and in my work life.
Yeah, it sounds exhausting, and you said exhausted. So I'm interested to know, how long can you continue like this?
Um, it's frustrating.
Mhm. What else?
Um, I it's like I know better. I know how to do it different, but I just if you need me, I'm here. It's just like family. I have a very busy job. I've always had busy job, leadership roles. So it's just constant, constant, constant. But you'll blow my phone up and just keep calling and calling because whatever you have going on is important. And then, so I've learned to kind of put people on red and call back like at the end of my day or if I have a break, but I try to do it, so I always tell like my daughters, I say, you guys always call. No one asked me how my day was going. You just like immediately jump in telling me all your stuff. But you said, how are you doing today, mom? Or you need anything? I don't really get that. Got to be sick or something. So that part is draining. And I just need to learn how to incorporate a different behavior. Because I'm sure if I push it out, I'll receive something back different, but I just keep doing it the same way. So it's trickled over into the way I work as well.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
So the words I heard you say were draining. That's 20 minutes. Draining, I know better, frustrating, exhausted. If you were to color all those words one color, what would you color it?
Color? Mm,
You're going to color the word draining, I know better, frustrating, exhausted. What color would you use to color those words?
I don't I don't think they're red. If red means
You're going to decide what the colors mean. So,
they're not green, because green to me is like in a good space. So they're gray, maybe gray.
ah, they're not green, they're gray. Because green is a good space for you.
Green would be like, yeah, positive or, moving forward or something like that. For everyone else, like it's green for them. It's green, and work and stuff is green. But for me, just doing it, sometimes it's gray, or most times.
And you said it's not red, red being terrible, but gray. So what if good is positive and green is positive? Red is negative, red is not good. What's gray?
Gray is it's the in between color. I can go either way. It can turn red while I'm completely overwhelmed and frustrated, and just, or it can go green, but it takes a different approach. So it also, I guess, is what I'm dealing with that week, or
Hmm.
what it looks like. I can be red and just overwhelmed with work and, just a bad week where it's just so many things going on. I take no time out for myself other than to sleep. And then you start it all over again. So I think the gray is like the middle point where it can actually go either way, where I need to have more control, where the gray is turning green. It's no longer gray, where the colors are transitioning, where my only way is to either stay where that gray color is and moving towards green, but not in the red.
It's beautiful. One of the things you talked about is being self-aware. And in order to improve personal development, self-awareness is really important. Um, looking at, and I take notes during all of my sessions, but looking at what you have, what keeps you moving forward? with all this exhaustion, with all this draining, with all this frustration, what keeps you moving forward?
I'm spiritually connected. That's my force.
Okay.
I do now. I do routinely kick my day off like with devotion. That's like if I don't do that, I have to get it in some way somehow. So I think I really started, when I told you I was journaling and things like that, when I 5 years ago or more, when I started going through that whole separation and divorce thing, and I had to kind of grab hold, and that was the only strength I could rely on that was sovereign. It stayed the same. I just grew stronger and stronger. So that pushes me to be able to keep moving.
Do you have like a mantra? Do you have a prayer that you constantly say? Do you have like a quote or anything? What words do you use
I have it right here.
to support you?
My 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness.
Mm. So that sounds pretty aligned with what you're saying, right? My power is perfect in your weakness, right?
Yeah.
So uh, one of the things that supervisor mentioned was leaving out details as opposed to giving the big picture during your presentation. And what I heard you say is that, I've been doing this, so I'm pretty good at it. And I've been, you know, doing this for the job that I had prior to this with finance and industry, et cetera. So looking at this strength and weakness idea, how would you characterize it inside this thought that your supervisor might have of leaving out of details and, maybe being too broad with the presentation?
You said, how does it make me feel?
No, like uh, how does the words that
Oh,
strengthen your weakness, the words that you use for empowerment, how do they support when you hear things back from her saying that you're leaving out of details and your information's too broad?
um, I just try to not take it like to heart. Like I think that she means well. I think she wants me to develop and be my very best. And sometimes it can, if anyone has ever seen like an investment presentation or anything dealing with finance, it is very detail oriented. It's very to the point. And that's what I'm accustomed to. Um, so I just try to, before, if it was years ago when I first started in leadership, I would have really just took it like become very, defensive. I
Hmm.
didn't get defensive, and I just took it all in and say, try to twist it to a positive, even if my brain's trying to tell me that it's a negative. I always try to look at something positive in it. So,
Hmm.
and just learning how to grow from this, because there'll be other things too. So just learning how to grow through this, even if I think it's something I really don't need to do at this moment, because there's so many other things I think are priorities. She just put it on my list. She didn't say, I need you to take it by in a month, or, no
Hmm.
time. But she will follow up and say, hey, have you scheduled it? She is going to follow back up. And that just tells me that it's important to her for me to have it, for me to acquire that additional skill. I'm sure I will learn something. It's not that I just never take time out for myself. So I just like put
Right.
that back burner.
And have you had a conversation with her? I'm curious to know, like, what other things she's been able to say to you, knowing that it sounds like she's there for you.
Mhm.
But have you had a conversation with her regarding how you might feel about what she's saying and how she might be saying it, or, whatnot? So it's more power empowering than, offensive.
Probably not, and not dealing with this like presentation thing. It's been vague or little comments, and then now I need you to take a presentation. That's been like over time. Um, I told her that she's the type of supervisor where, I mean, you get all kinds. I'm sure you've had many in your lifetime. You get good and bad, and I always think it's A, B, and C like doctors. I mean, everybody didn't graduate with a
Right,
four.
with 4,
You know,
4.0.
so so we have all these different levels. It doesn't mean that they don't bring something valuable to the table. I wouldn't want them to all to be the same.
Hmm.
I always tell her, I said, if I'm out drowning and I'm in the ocean, you throw me out there. When you throw me a life vest, at least I know, to me, this is what this is. She's just not leaving me out there to fend for myself. I try to look at it that way because I've had those who would just throw you out there and you just got to figure it out, and they're not a resource at all. So we've had conversation. I actually used that scenario to her, and she said, no, I will always throw the best, but I do want you to figure it out and use all your resources first before you
Hmm.
grab the best, that like, to do that. And I respect that, and that's what we have in common. When my employees ask me a question, I'll say, well, what resources do you have first before I just give you the answer? Or if I don't know the answer, I'll let you know I don't know it, and I'll do you research this way and I'm gonna research this way, and we're gonna come and get the answer. So I'm not ashamed to say if I don't know something, because I don't know everything. But I think it's important, especially in this environment and animal care. It's like organizational awareness is like huge. And so
Hmm.
that's the only way I can really function in my job. I have to know pretty much every employee, where they are, and my team needs to know those things. So our conversations, we meet every week, and actually we have a set time every week, but we can talk through things, and she may give me, observations of what she see my team doing, because everything is, visual. We send everything. Um,
Okay.
and then say, well, why did the person do it this way? Or and I'll tell her, and she'll say, oh, okay, I probably would have did it this way. And I said, but we had the same common goal, and we still got there in the time you. And she'll say, yeah, you're right. So I think I'm learning and she's learning as
Hmm.
we go, because at the same time.
So, Benita, if you was telling somebody else like how to handle this situation, what would you tell them in reference to putting yourself last, not making yourself a priority? Um, let's just deal with that one
I
first.
probably would tell them everything that I need to tell myself. that
What are
I
some of those
that I
things?
know, that things I know. I would definitely tell them that they are a priority, and they need to, definitely sketch time out to be able to take a breather to do things for themselves. That's the way they can keep moving. I mean, if it's a work environment, I'm definitely very work oriented. I'm sure they probably still hear little spiritual things from me, but I don't broadcast it. But I just would tell them take time out for themselves. I mean, I do it now for my team. If they say, "Hey, is it okay?" And I think communication is important. So, I mean, I try to communicate. We communicate very well, me and my
Hmm.
supervisor, but I may be able to be a lot more vocal, or not, so don't come across being defensive. If she say, "Oh, I want you to sign up for a presentation class," and then I can say, why do you think I need to take one right now?" Or,
Hmm.
just, and then she can say, because of point A, point B, or it's a big presentation that's coming up and I want you to be prepared. I'm just basing it off all the other little things, or comments that she's made, and
Hmm.
kind of making my own perception of why she's asking me. I've never said, "Hey, why do you want me to take the presentation class?" So I
Okay.
probably tell the person, talk to your super. Have you had a conversation? I know all these things, and just still, and she would be awful. She would say, you if I say I'm going to block out my schedule to do self-development, I'm pretty sure she would say okay. It's just I just don't do it.
Okay.
And that need to be on my list. That's not on my list as a check off.
All right. Is there anything else you would do or tell that person to do?
Mm,
Because I mean, you gave some really cool things to tell yourself. So what what else? I mean, because you still have your life balance too.
Yeah. Um, don't I, I'm really not a procrastinator, but I am a procrastinator to a certain extent. Um, I probably would tell them to hold their own selves accountable in some magnitude. If
Mhm.
it's every week you write down what you need to handle, the work side and then maybe the personal side or development or whatever, where you actually are checking off and doing it instead of just talking about it and procrastinating and not doing it. In what ways can you make that happen? For me, it's blocking time off of my calendar each week. It may be something different for someone else, but giving them an opportunity to actually, if I did this, then I could do, move schedules around on there. I fill up my schedule with my team all in one day. Maybe I can spread them out. It's just different things I can do, but it's just so acclimated to doing it the way I do it. Just never really gave it any more thought to, instead of piling 6 meetings every Monday,
Mhm.
I can spread it through to Wednesday or something, even though it'll be other days that may be heavier than others. So,
I just heard something and I want to bring it up. Is there anything that, maybe I'll restate that. Um, y- would it be a good assessment that you're really busy all the time?
yes.
Okay. So my question is there something that you use busyness to override?
What you mean?
Sometimes we could be really busy because being like, if we're still, seems like we're not doing enough. Or if we're still, we don't have to think about certain other things. So we're busy because that busyness allows us to stay, keep moving, stay engaged with different things, and we don't have to worry about some of that other stuff.
Mm, I think now in my life, no. I just, busy is just what I do. And I'm not doing it. Um, when I was going through the divorce, I just stayed busy all the
Okay.
time. So I wouldn't, nor did I associate, I was very isolated. And people used to think, or they would say my isolation or staying away was like in a negative manner, but it really was growth for me. I needed that time to spend time alone and learn how to, what do I like, what do I don't like. I never had that.
Rediscover
And
yourself.
yeah, and so it took practice, definitely. Um, and then just learning different things that I enjoy doing that I don't need. People always need someone around. They need to be, if it's social media, they just need constant. I don't need that. I can sit quietly. I can just be content. I don't have to. And that was something that I had in rediscovering myself that I
Mm.
had to do. So the busyness, I enjoy what I do, and enjoy helping people in their careers. So that part of it is passionate that I'll see it to the finish line, and then that's the reward when I see people smiles on their faces and they're on board, and we get through all of that part. So I work really hard to make that happen, and then but I just,
Yeah, and that was the other part, right? That part, that the exhaustion still kicks in, and now you have no time for you. So that's why I asked it, because not only are you busy at work, but you're real busy in your personal life. And so is there something else underlying that where it's like, who, I don't have to worry about that, like feeling the pain of divorce and some of the other things that happen afterwards, because it's a lot of other stuff that people just don't pay attention to. They think the divorce is it, and it's not. It's living after divorce, right?
right.
So, sometimes because of that, I let me get busy. Let me do some other stuff so I don't have to deal with some of that stuff in my quiet time that comes kind of noisy in mine.
I used to, which I need to start doing again. Definitely, I used to exercise, but I used to run it first, and then now I walk, and I don't. I just stopped. Like, since I work at home, I don't have like a routine, and it's like I need that back because it kind of scheduled my day, and then I can exercise in here, but sometimes you need a change of environment. So it's like easily just to go outside, and I won't even do that. It's just like, no, I just can't do that, where I need to kind of stick to it and do it. Because when I was definitely exercising at least every other day, it becomes like a part of you where you crave it, like to work out, or you crave, or to exercise, to clear your mind. If it's just walking for however long with headphones on, listening to music, and just out there breathing fresh air was very rewarding for me. And it took even though I'm exhausted, tired, it just clears everything. And I just, something as simple as that. I just haven't even, people like, you live at the harbor. You've been down to, I was like, I haven't been outside in 3 days. All this work. Now I'm tired, and maybe I'm in the building somewhere, but no. They was like, really? I can easily do it. That's not, I'm not bragging about it because I don't think it's good. But it just depends on my day if I
Hmm.
go out or not to do anything. So, I don't drive anymore, really to go to work or anything. So anything I need is right here, or I order everything. I order,
Okay.
I order everything from groceries to, and I could walk to some things, but sometimes I just don't even feel like it.
All right. Well, I mean, is there anything else that you want to talk about in reference to personal development, um, for the time that we have left?
No, just maybe some different ways to put me as priority, other than some of the ones that I've suggested that I still haven't done.
Yeah, I wrote down the ones that you said that you could do or you would tell yourself to do. One of them is, putting things on your calendar, creating a routine, you know, getting back to your exercising. You know, I know that my supervisor takes that type of thing in the middle of the day.
Mhm,
She schedules it. She walks. Sometimes she'll host a meeting from her walk,
mhm.
and we know that, and it's good because it's like work-life balance. So I believe you said a number of things that would help yourself build your own personal development. It's just this other word. So one of the words that you used, and I have one more question to ask you, is how are you holding yourself accountable to you?
Other than the things that I do routinely, which is my devotion, other than that, I don't. I may say I'm going to do something today, and the walking during the day, I would send a chat, say, "Hey, I'm going out for an hour walking," and she always say, "Having fun," and or she'll say, "It's super hot outside. Are you crazy?" or something like that. But to try to bring that work life balance too. But I don't hold myself accountable. It's flaky. I can, it's not something as that's a priority that I have to do. I'll just do it if I want, or I just won't do it, or push it to the next day. Next day come, I'll push it I'll do it Friday. Then it never gets done. And that's the procrastination part of it. But if it's something dealing with work, I push all the way through. Or if it's something for someone else, I show up and push it through. But when it comes to me, I just don't. I don't do it as I should.
Okay, and I guess that last question was, how will you?
Mm. Um, I guess this conversation I didn't even know what we were going to talk about actually. And I just talked about the presentation, which led to a whole bunch of other stuff, which is good. Um, I guess being more self-aware, like
Mhm.
I'm saying it, just being aware of what I'm saying right now, and to make a difference, do some, even if it's one day, all I can do is one day at a time. But, by the time we talk, the next time we talk, where I can definitely have shown some improvement where I have a actual balance. Because right now it's like this. It's not balanced correctly.
Mhm.
It should be like a balance, even if they kind of go back and forth, but not like that.
Yeah, well, one thing about this coaching is there's no like definitive end. Like, okay, I'm going to do this to get to that.
Mhm.
It's not about me trying to help you get a solution to it tomorrow. It's more like, how are you going to figure it out for yourself with me as a coach to just be there to buffer certain things
Mhm.
and question things in a way that allows you to question yourself. And then, of course, the solution's coming from you, not me,
Mhm.
or it's not going to come from your supervisor either. It's
Mhm.
really coming from you. But has this time together been fruitful for you?
Oh yes, very much so.
Okay. And I have a few notes in reference to some things that you said, and I like to keep those just for reference for the next conversation. And you may have some things to share with me next time about how you're making some progress in
Mhm.
this. Whether you do or don't, doesn't matter. Um, we could still meet because you might have something else that's
Mhm.
different than the presentation. You might be telling me, "Oh, I decided to take your class, Dwayne, because I do Presentation Advantage, which is a presentation course, Stephen Covey. I'm
Mhm.
certified Covey instructor for that. So there's all kind of different things that can happen between now and the next 3 months. Then you get back to me.
Not that long.
Nah,
Not that.
you're gonna put me on your calendar for
Yes.
next week, right? And that way we can kind of chat.
Put my calendar much sooner than I did before.
Okay. You promise.
That's me taking priority for me. See?
There we go. I was like, I'm feeling kind of some kind of way, but now I don't feel that way because it's like, oh, that was for you. So, me and you go together on the calendar.
Right.
So we'll make this part of work and then you get me on there. So, it's always a pleasure talking with you, Benita. I think, you bring a lot to the organization. You bring a lot to the work that you do. I'm sure the team values you a lot, family, of course, you said they look to you for their stuff, but it'll be really powerful to hear from you when you decide to do some things for yourself, including that vacation you talked about, right? Getting away, making some changes on just the way how certain things show up in your life. So I'm looking forward to those conversations with you as well.
Okay. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
It's been a
If,
pleasure.
if anything comes up and you need to talk at any time, we don't have to be scheduled. You can just say, "Hey, I'm dealing with this and I need to talk." And you
Okay.
just send me an IM
Mhm.
and put you on my calendar.
All righty.
Cool.
Cool. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. All right. Enjoy your weekend
You too.
and we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye bye.
Okay. All right. See you.